If you're the owner of a 2018 and newer GT or EcoBoost Mustang and you wish you can add some of that aggressive GT500 styling into the front end, well, now you can thanks to the MP Concepts GT500 style bumper that we have here today. Now this kit will feature a complete unpainted GT500 style front bumper constructed from that durable polypropylene, along with brand new upper and lower grills, new chin spoiler, side canards, and all of your hardware for that mid $700 price point. Install according to the site is going to get a healthy 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Take about 3 hours to complete from start to finish, but if you hang with me for a bit, we'll walk you through that job later in the video. So this part is very popular for the 2015 through 2017 owners, and I have a feeling it's going to be the same case for the 2018 and newer crowd as well. Why? Well, it completely changes up the look of your ride by replacing that stock front bumper with a piece that looks identical to the one found on the mighty GT500. Now, the interesting thing with this particular setup is, for the 2018 and newer cars, that Ford didn't use the facelift headlights as they're called for the newer Shelby. So this is kind of a cool way to see what it would look like if the Shelby had implemented those newer style lights. And honestly, I think it works, judging from our footage and from some of the pictures. Obviously, it looks a bit different because we're not used to seeing the combination of that newer headlamp on the Shelby bumper, but I think it's a combo that looks pretty killer. If anything, I think the newer headlights give the GT500 front end a little bit more of a sinister look. But as I mentioned at the very top of this video, guys, this kit is more than just a bumper shell itself, right? You're also getting things like the GT500 style upper and lower grills here, along with a GT500 style lower chin. Now, MP Concepts also kicks in the air deflectors or canards here at the side of the bumper, which are identical to the ones found on the GT500, as are the lower buckets here right below your turn signals, which, by the way, you will need to swap over your stock turn signals to the brand new bumper. Now, I have seen a few questions about, hey, can I maybe swap a Cervini's or an RTR grill into this bumper? Unfortunately, that's not possible without heavy modification just due to the different shapes, so just kind of keep that in mind. Same goes to the lower chin splitter as well. Now, at the time of this video, this is basically what you're gonna have to roll with, guys, which is fine because, again, if you're installing something like this, it's probably to nail that GT500 look, and therefore you probably don't want to deviate too much from that. But styling aside, construction is going to be very similar to what you would find with a factory or OE bumper, right? You got that durable yet very pliable polypropylene that does ship unpainted, as you guys can see. Very important to mention that fact because this part is not currently available pre-painted on the site, so you will need to factor in some prep work along with paint into your final costs. Now, the bumper does have a number of very positive reviews here on the site, along with a ton of customer submitted images. So if you're on the fence about maybe going with this option versus a GT350 style option, always a great idea to check out those customer submitted images, kind of compare and contrast, and check out the reviews while you're there. It's a great way to get a sense of how fellow S550 owners are enjoying this thing, maybe not enjoying it in certain aspects. It's a great way to get some real world feedback and see a lot of pictures of this thing maybe in the color of your own ride. But now we want to shift gears and show you what it takes not only to assemble the bumper itself here, again, transferring over your fog lights, getting those grills in place, things like that, but also physically getting the bumper installed on your ride at home. So without further ado, guys, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown now.
Tools used for this installation: 3/8 electric impact gun, clip removal tool, Phillips head screwdriver, cutting pliers, 1/4-inch drive ratchet, 1/4-inch drive adapter, Phillips Torx bit, 5, 7, 8, 10 millimeter sockets, 10 millimeter wrench, and a dead blow hammer. First thing we're going to do, now we have our hood up, we're going to remove our push clips right here that hold our upper rad cover on. That'll give us access to the bolts up top here that hold on our bumper. Now that we have those removed, lift up and remove our cover. Now that we got our cover off, we're going to remove our 2 end screws that hold the bumper on. They're 5mm. We're just going to pop those out. And now I'm going to remove the 8mm that are up top here. Now that we have those removed, we're going to go to our inner wheel well over here and start loosening up our sides. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove our 3 push clips in our inner wheel well here. There's one right here. It's going to be right in this area here. It's back inside. We're going to pull this one out, plus these 2 here, which will give us access to pull our fender back. And then there should be 2 bolts up in here that hold our fender or our bumper to our fender. So I'm going to just get in here, pop out our push clips. And then get up in here. This one's a little more tricky. All right, now that we have those out, I'm gonna be able to get a hold of our fender here, our inner wheel well, pull it back. Now on this one, I moved the tire in so that I can get access to these 2 10mm that are tucked up in here. And I'm going to take these off and loosen these up, and then we'll be able to remove our sides of our bumper. So now I got my inner rear well pulled back. Inside here, up top in here, there's 2 10mm nuts. I'm going to take my ratchet, with my 10mm, get on it. Get the first one loose and off. Once I get the first one loose, now I'm going to go back in, get the ratchet on the second one. And get the second one loose. And they are a little tough to get to, but you can get in there. And now that we have these 2 loose, I'm going to take this nut off. We're going to want to repeat the same procedure on the other side. We're going to go underneath and now remove the splash guard. So now we got our 2 sides of our bumper loose. Now we're underneath, we're going to remove our splash guard. On ours, there are bolts missing. You have some screws here that hold it on, some on the outer edge, some here. You have 2 push clips right here. We're going to remove this, get this down. That gives us access to loosen up the lights for our turn signal. And that way we can get the rest of the bumper and then pull the whole front bumper off. So now I'm going to take my clip removal tool, pull out our 2 push clips first. Now that I got them off, I'm going to take my 7mm on my electric impact gun and start removing screws. Again, our vehicle is missing screws. You might have all the screws in. Now once I have just about all of them out, I think there's only one more right here. we're going to be able to remove this down and get this out of the way. And now we're just going to pull our panel down. Now we can get access to our turn signal lights. Now that we got our splash panel removed, we're going to unplug our turn signals. This connector right here, I'm going to reach up, push down on the clip and pull it off. Then you're just going to want to repeat that same procedure on the other side. So now we're going to remove our bumper cover. I'm going to push down on this and get this off like that. I'm going to go over to the other side, do the same thing. Once we have it loose, I'm going to come over to the front. We have all our bolts out. I'm going to pick up, get it off the studs, grab a hold of the bumper cover, and it's off. Now that I got our bumper off, we're going to have to remove some stuff on this bumper. First two things we're going to remove: turn signal lights on both sides. We're going to have to remove these studs here that hold the bumper to the fender. We're going to remove this rubber piece in the front nose here that's going to go on the new one, and we're going to remove some clips over there. So I'm going to grab my gun and my 7mm and start removing the turn signals. Now I'm going to take my 7mm. We're going to remove these 3 screws right here that holds our turn signal in. And once I got those out, be able to lift up, remove your turn signal. You're going to want to clean it before you install it. And now we're just going to remove this bracket here with the studs. Now you're going to repeat this same procedure on the other side. So now we're going to remove these clips here. They hold our splash guard on. We're going to need these for our new bumper. I'm going to take my clip removal tool. You can use a flat blade screwdriver, a pair of cutter pliers, and just pull them off. You just want to pop them off because we're going to end up squeezing them back together and then putting them on our new bumper. Now we'll go and remove our rubber gasket on the top of our bumper. So now we're going to remove our rubber seal. There's little white push clips. You're going to want to be careful when you pop them out. Just take your time because it's going to pop out of the rubber. If it does, it's not a big deal. You can pull the clip out and put them back in. So I'm going to take my small clip removal tool. Some of them are already kind of loose. I'm going to get in there and just if you get a couple to do that, I'll show you how to get them out and put them back in. Now I'll show you how to get these out. We'll stick those back in the rubber. So now I had a couple that didn't come out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cutter pliers and we're going to grab a hold of it, but we're not going to squeeze too hard. Just very lightly put pressure and just pop it out like that. Once you get it out, you're just going to bend the ears back a little bit, and then it's going to just slide right back in the rubber. And you can just push till you get it to pop in both ears, pretty much like that. I'm going to do the next one the same way. So now that we got everything removed from our old bumper that we're going to need, we're going to start with our new bumper. There's some plastic bracing in here that they put in for shipping. We're going to have to remove that first before we can start to assemble. So now I'm going to remove them and show you how they're removed, and then we'll start assembling our new bumper. So now I'm going to show you how to remove these plastic pieces they put in for shipping. I'm just going to twist them. The manufacturer says that you might need to cut them. Some of them can just be twisted just like that and they break off. I do have some cutters here in case I can't get them out. I'm going to come over to the side here. Cut this one. And do same on this side. And if you just twist them, they seem like they'll just break off. So now that I have them removed, we're going to start assembling our grills. So now we're going to start assembling our grill, our lower grill, I should say. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our mesh, and you have a flat side and a non-flat side. We're going to take that, kind of get that to sit here and line up with some of the holes, like that. And once we get that done, then we're going to take our other piece of plastic that they give us here. We're going to set that on top like that. This end is going to go to the passenger side. It has the little cut in it. And then what we're going to do is start with our Phillips screw and our flat washer. These are the little bit longer ones. In the kit, they're going to give you fatter ones and they're going to give you skinny ones. These are going to be the skinny ones. I'm going to start by getting a couple started, lined up with the holes. Once I get a few started, we will end up running them in with my electric gun. Once you feel them start like that, I'm going to start in the center. Now we have them all tight, we're going to go and do the upper grill. So now we're going to install our upper grill, same way. The flat part of the grill is going to come up facing me. The bottom part is going to go down. And we're going to get this in place here. Line up some of these holes. once we have this pretty much lined up, start some of these holes. I'm going to put this piece on. It's going to have the slot, or the bigger piece with the MP logo facing this way. So we're going to get this on, put it in place, and start our screws. I'm going to get 2 of them started. One on this center, one on that end. And then start the rest. Same screws and washers that we used on the bottom one that are included in the kit. Now I'll run them with my gun, and then our upper grille will be installed. Now that we have our upper grille installed, we're going to start installing our side covers with our turn signals. Now we're going to install our side grills here. Now we're going to take them, put them in place, and get them to sit down in. And once we get them in place, we're going to want to move them around a little bit. Push down on them. They are a little tough to get to seat. So I'm going to push down on this thing to get this going. Don't be afraid to tap it, smack it around to get the clips to clip. All right, now I got them all in. You're going to want to repeat this same procedure on the other side. Now that we have our grille in, I'm going to take our turn signal, put it back in place. I'm going to use the screws that we took out of the stock one. Get those started. Take my 7mm. And our studs here that we need to bolt our fender up, I'm going to push them back into place here. Once we have that in, you're going to want to repeat the same procedure on the other side. Now we'll install our clips that we took off our old bumper to hold our splash guard up. Now that we have those in, now we'll install our bottom fin panel that goes underneath. So now that we got our turn signals all hooked up and in, and we got our grills done, we're gonna put our chin spoiler on. We're gonna use our Phillips head bolts with the nuts and washers that's supplied in the kit. We're gonna stick them on. I'm gonna put one on one side and get it started. I'm gonna put a nut and washer on this. And then I'm going to go on to the other side and put a bolt and washer there to hold it in place so I can start putting all the bolts and washers in that are supplied in the kit. Now you're going to want to just finish installing the rest of the bolts and nuts and washers. Now I'm going to take my Phillips and a 10mm. I'm going to tighten this chin spoiler up. Now you're just going to want to repeat that on the rest of the bolts. Now we're going to install our side pieces here that go into the front and in the side of the wheel well. There is some tabs that stick out. This is going to fit into there. We're going to take our shorter Phillips screws that were supplied in the kit. I'm going to start a couple of these. Now you're going to want to just repeat the same procedure on the other side. Now that we got everything else installed, I'm going to install our grille emblem. We're going to take our 2 Phillips, put them through this black plate, line the holes up, push them up through. We're going to start these pieces of flat plate with the threads in them. Take my Phillips screwdriver. Put these down on. I'm gonna snug them up. You don't gotta go too tight. I'm just gonna get them snug. And tighten the next one up. And now that we have those 2 tight, I'm going to flip it over and then install the front cover. So now we're going to take our double-sided tape. I'm going to peel it off. One, two. Lay one side down like that. Take our MP Concepts emblem. Stick it on like that. Next we'll install our rubber and we'll be ready to install our front bumper. So now we're going to put our rubber back in where it was on the top. Now we're ready to install our front bumper. So now we're going to put our bumper back in place. I'm going to slide it in, get it on. The studs down here. Once I have it on them, then I'm going to come down in here. Start both sides. And that will start to install our fender on that side and our fender on this side. So now we're going to install our 2 10mm nuts. They go up in here onto these 2 studs when you push this up into there. And when we took this apart, we had some push clips that held it in place. Now we're going to put our winglets on here, and inside here we're going to use these 3 self-tapping screws, and we're going to screw this all together. It's going to start one here, one there, and one up in here. And we're going to drill this. It's what the manufacturer recommends to hold everything together. So you won't be really using your push clips. There's nothing on the back of this bumper compared to the stock bumper. So we're not going to drill into ours because we're just using this as a demonstration. But I am going to install the 2 10mm bolts. And on your vehicle, you're going to want to put them screws in to hold everything together. So now I'm going to stick our two 10mm nuts back on the studs to hold this all in place. Tighten them up. The other one up. Now that I have those tightened up, we'll put our wheel well back in place. And now you're going to want to install your 3 self-tapping screws here to hold the winglet on the side in place. And you're going to want to repeat the same procedure on the other side. Now that we got our sides on, I'm going to do our top bolts here and put our rad cover on. Then we'll go underneath, put our splash guard on. I'm going to put our 8mm in first. I'm going to switch over to our 5mm. Put those in the ends. Now we'll put our rad support cover on. Now we're going to put our rad support cover back in place and put our push clips in. Now we'll go underneath and put on our splash guard. All right, before we put our splash shield on, we're going to rehook up our turn signals. Just going to grab the connector. Here it'll plug in. You're going to want to repeat that same procedure on the other side, and then we'll install our splash guard. So now that we got our turn signals hooked up, I'm going to reinstall our splash guard. I'm going to stick it in the side here. Get this up into place here. I'll line up my 2 back holes here. Start 2 of our screws. Now, when I took this off, there was some screws missing, so I don't know if I'm gonna have enough to put in all the holes, but on yours, if you do. So now I have that, that'll hold it up in place. Make my inner wheel well go where it has to go here. And I'll start some screws in the front. I'm gonna take my gun, see if I can start a couple. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt to line them up. Being that it's new plastic, you're gonna have to move it around a little bit to get them to start. Some will line right up. These are the factory holes. Now what I'm going to do is I got a few started. I want to put my push clips in. See if they line up. Now I'm going to do a couple in my wheel well to hold these two pieces together here. You're going to finish putting your screws in where they go. We're missing some, so I got some in the front, some in the back. Tighten them all up, and then the front bumper is installed. That wraps up this review and install of our MP Concepts GT500 style front bumper unpainted for 18 to 21 GT and EcoBoost Mustangs. Thanks for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.